Thank you, Patrick. Someone hit their glass again. Give it a clang. Thank you, Brooke. Be sure not to break the glass. That's only done in Jewish weddings. I take it, Laura, you've been to a few Jewish weddings. Yes. Quite festive, aren't they? Thank you for returning to your seats. Thank you, Peggy. You're in the Maurer Hall of Fame for doing that. Well, I looked over Joe's website, and the kudos for him is attendees say they have greater energy, excitement, flow, reinvention. The list goes on and on. He's certainly done the work. Author, speaker, spiritual teacher, radio and TV personality. So let's get going. Please give a warm Inside Edge welcome to Joe Nunziata.
Put that down. Oh, what's that thing? Thank you, Larry. Thank you so much. Thank you. Good morning. Thank you so much. I want to thank you for having me. Thank Adrian for inviting me to be here today. I'm going to plant myself here as I got my instructions from the video guy, and I'm afraid of him now, so I'm not going to move. So I will not move off this spot. I'm only kidding. So thank you so much. So obviously, I know we spoke to some of you, but we're originally from New York. We'll actually be here about a year this month. We came a year ago in August. So my son, who's here with me today, he helps us out. My wife as well. She was unavailable this morning. So we decided last year when we were moving from New York, that my son and I said, we'll drive. Why don't we drive cross country? It'll be a great experience, and we'll do this thing. And he had just gotten his license about 6 months earlier. So one of the things you learn, has anybody ever driven cross country? Yeah. Oh, you have done it. Okay. So you know that once you leave New York, there's nothing between New York and California. There's not a lot happening. And there's a lot of flat ground and a lot of cows, but that's about it. But the one other thing that we learned that was critically important for our future was we know we do not want to go back to Nebraska. So that was a bad state for us. So if anyone's from Nebraska, I apologize, but it was that we had a kind of cricket infestation in our room, and it was just not a good thing. So anyway, yeah. So those are a couple of truths from our trip. But anyway, I've been doing this work. It's funny because September of next month will be my 20-year anniversary from when I did my first event. And it's kind of interesting, to say, wow, 20 years is a long time to be doing this stuff, of course, evolving into different areas. Today we're going to talk about karma in your business. It's a very important factor in your whole life, but we're going to talk about it today in your business. I have a book out called Karma Buster. I'll talk to you about that a little bit later. And, coming from New York, I'm originally from Brooklyn, and I don't want to lose the whole accent. Although people say, you don't sound like you're from Brooklyn. I said, I want to keep a little edge of it just in case, and because it does scare people at the right time, so it's a good thing. And so once in a while, you pull that stuff out when you have to. I can go slide right into it very quickly, into my De Niro routine. So, but growing up in New York City, my dad was a cop, and he became a narcotics detective, a very dangerous job. Unfortunately, when I was 12, he died on the job in a violent incident, which was part of my karma. I did not know that then. And when that happened, for anybody who's had a traumatic experience at a young age, it really changes your whole perspective of life. You kind of go from, I was a carefree kid, you're having a good time, you lose your dad, it changes everything. So being a kid, we grew up in this lifetime, we choose what we want to be, by the way. So I chose to be Italian. So I got the food, but I also got the guilt. I got both. So we got both sides. And so in that culture, you feel very responsible. It's very family-oriented. So I felt very responsible. I was 12 years old. I have a younger sister, my mom. Went out to work right after high school. Got into work right away. And one of the things I said, wow, the people who we know who have money or successful are business owners. I'm going to become an entrepreneur. And my belief system was, very simply, that, like many of us growing up, that it's all about hard work. You grow up, you'll learn that. You go out, work hard, put a lot of effort in, and you're going to guarantee to be successful. Well, I went out, long story short, I really applied that principle. Being from New York, it's like times 100, bull in a china shop, 100 miles an hour, working 80 hours a week, and even at a very young age, You know, I was the guy on Friday night who said to my friends, I can't go out, I'm going to a seminar on Saturday. And I was that, you know, reading the books and thinking grow rich, very young, you know, reading all that stuff. So go out there, apply these principles, work really hard, put in tremendous energy and effort. And by the time I'm 30 years old, I went through 2 bankruptcies. Also, I'm glad you find that amusing. I'm glad you enjoy that. So, there's always one person in the crowd. One person, people are like, oh, that's the bit. And one person just thinks it's very funny, which I think is good. So anyway, I said that's good. I appreciate that. But anyway, that was also part of my karmic journey, was to go through that. So after the, you know, as the second bankruptcy is happening, and I'm kind of frustrated because I'm doing all this stuff. Anybody here doing all this stuff? You're working hard. You're setting goals. You know, went to all those seminars, and you write your goals down, and you look in the mirror, and you yell at yourself. Anybody doing all that? You know, you're doing affirmations, and I feel good. I feel good. I feel good. Why am I going bankrupt? Why am I going bankrupt? So all that stuff didn't work. So finally, I said, you know, something's wrong. I have to do something else. And out of pure desperation, I went to therapy, which, just so you know, Italians from Brooklyn, we don't go to therapy. It's not, you know. This is way before Tony Soprano made it cool to go to therapy. There was no, you know, we were not going at that time. So, and I didn't tell anybody in my family because I knew, like, it would have been, like, really a bad thing if you said, I'm going to therapy. There, what are you talking about? We'll straighten it out right here. Sit down. So I said, don't you realize that's why I'm going? So, but in any event, I started to go, I did it for a couple of years. It was really good. And I kind of plateaued. I said, okay, you know, this is great. I started to learn. I started to move me into this metaphysical energy work, which I knew nothing about because my family was religious but not spiritual. Nobody gets that there's a difference. And, you know, if you're a Catholic, you did it. So that's all you have to know. So that's all you have to know. Whatever happened, you did it. Okay, thank you. Yes. Jesus died, you did it. Okay, that's it. So, you know, metaphysical work was very different because energy, you started learning about spirituality. It's all about love. It's all about positive energy. It's all about letting go of things. It's a very different experience. And as you go through the process, I met different teachers and I met different people. I actually even had a session in 1997 with a guy named John Edward. You may know the medium from the show. His house was actually about 20 minutes from where we lived in Long Island, and I had a session with him. It was amazing. Connected me to my dad. Really started getting into the work, and then I met a woman who was an enlightened master, and I did not know at the time that that's what she was, but we sat down, and I met her through a very strange circumstance as well, and we're having this session, and she said, okay, Joe, I'm going to tell you what we're going to do here, and I'm going to tell you what your issue is, and I'm going to tell you what you're here to do, what your karma is, and what your mission is in this life. So I said, you know, listen, I'm just trying to pay my bills. You know, I don't need to get into all this stuff. So she said, basically, your problem is you have blocked chakras. And I said, oh, my God. So, now, you all know what chakras are here? See, that's why I like California, New York chakras. What the hell is that? So I said, because I only heard the word blocked. I didn't hear anything. You know, guys, we don't like that word, right? That's a bad word for men. It's blocked. Really? So I said, do I get a surgery? What do I do? So she said, oh, no. I'm going to show you how to clear that energy out of your chakra system. It's tied to your karma and your energy in this lifetime. And then as you heal yourself, you're going to go out and teach other people how to do this. So for me, that was like, you know, the Twilight Zone episode right there. I was like, really? I said, that a kid from Brooklyn, could you imagine if you would have told me this when I met her many years ago, that I'm going to be standing in Southern California wearing my nice beads, talking to you lovely people, I would have said, you know, you're on crack. But here we are. So anyway, I started to do the work, and I started to heal myself, and I was really doing it on myself early, and I worked on my own issues for a long time, which I still do, because they never end. But I realized that, you know, I could really make tremendous, significant changes in my own life, and that as I started to do the work more, I started to accelerate my process. And then I started to teach other people, and the great thing was, as I was teaching people, they were moving through their stuff a lot faster than I was, because I knew how to show them how to move really quickly through it, because I had to go through all the pain, which was part of my karma. Because without going through my issues, I couldn't understand your issues. So that's why I had to go through all this different stuff. And I've been blessed with good vitality because I'm really just getting myself rolling now. And people say, people are getting ready to retire, you know, coming toward your age. Not that I'm that old, but, and I have good hair, which is good. So, see, it's all about the hair. If you have good hair, nobody knows what's happening. So, there you go. So we want to go at it. What I want to share with you today is kind of give you a different perspective, and I'm going to also talk about a synchronistic thing that just already happened today. So the first thing we talk about is, do you have good business karma? Because karma affects your whole life, but there are certain people we know who have really good karma in business, work, finances. You know people like that? Aren't they irritating? A little bit. Right, and everything they do like works out. Like you say, my God, this guy, like he made the worst investment, it became the best investment. He did, he made 10 mistakes and he made $1 million. Me, I worked 900 hours, I lost everything. What happened? So some people just have good energy in that area. So we all have that. So for some people, you say, wow, I have great health. I have no problems. I never have an issue. You have good karma there. Or I have great, my relationships have always been good, or I always had luck in certain areas. That's because you did not come karmically. That was an area that you didn't come to challenge yourself in. So we all came to challenge ourselves in different areas. So we have to say to yourself, well, if you've struggled in business or any area of your life, it's part of why you're here. And we have a lot of resistance. We'll talk about that too. So the question becomes, what is it? What is karma? And of course, I'm writing this book. What was really interesting about this book, I wrote half of it in New York and half of it out here. So it was interesting because I got to do the guilt part in New York, and then I came over here to do the other part. But as I'm writing the book and I'm going through this process, I was asking people I met, everybody, what is karma? So I sent it out on my email and Facebook, and I'm asking, like, I'm pumping gas, what do you think karma is? And people, what the hell, what are you doing? So and everybody said, the same thing. They were kind of like, well, you reap what you sow, and whatever you do, good things come back to you. That's true, but it's kind of like, it's like giving like 1/100th of a percent of what it is. So I redefined it, and one of the things that I learned doing this work was it could get a little airy-fairy. Is that right? So, I would go to these spiritual events, and everybody would walk out and be like, oh, I feel so great. And then all of a sudden, 3 days later, I would say, what do I do? So I said, if I'm going to do this, because I come from a sales and marketing background. I come from a New York, you better show me something I can use background. You leave an event in New York, people said, I like this because you gave me something I could use. You can't get away with this. So it was good for me because I make sure that people leave and say, wow, there's some stuff I can actually start doing right away. I didn't want it to be this airy-fairy thing. So basically, your karma is the blueprint for the emotional experience you're here to have. That's really what it is. So there's some scary things about karma. One is that you picked your parents. That's scary, right? So, and people have, I've had people argue this, and like I said, my thing is I want to share this with you. I'm not here to put it on you. I'm just teaching you what I learned and what I've experienced through my own meditation work is, you picked this experience before you came. So people say, well, why would I pick them? Well, because they had the best DNA code for your experience, right? They had the best DNA code for your experience. So one of the things that, I'm laughing as Larry's talking about Zen Proverbs because I always use them all the time. And of course, here's the one that he talked about. The obstacle is the path, right? Now, I look at this a little differently because I'll tell you the problem we have. What do we do when we come up against an obstacle? What do? We resist it. We run away from it. We try to leave. We try to go under it. We try to go over it. We try not to deal with it. Instead of just saying, oh, that's part of why I'm here. So what happens is when you run into an obstacle, who created it? You. Just in case you were wondering, you created it. So nobody else. We also have, we were just talking about this at the table, in our house we have the no victim rule, which doesn't play well in New York with our families because they're the all victim rule. And we're the no victim rule. They're blaming everybody. It's all Obama's fault to them. But we go in and we say, okay, we created the experience, right? I created everything. So if I created an obstacle, which you create, I have to say, why did I create that? Does that change your perception of your life? So now when something happens tomorrow and you say, wow, that guy didn't pay the bill that he was supposed to pay. People say, Joe, I lost my job. I say, great job. Way to go. What do you mean great job? I lost my job. I said, why did you want to lose your job? And of course, do people argue? Yes. I don't want to lose my job. I can't pay my bills. I said, no, you created it. So the acceptance of creation for you, the reason it's so important is it gives you tremendous power. Think about that. Think about the power you have when your perspective is, I'm getting up this morning and I am going to create my day. It takes you away from the idea that things are happening to you. Anybody that live there? I'm sure none of you, but. Right? You get up and, oh, look what he did. Oh, look what she did. So, and my family, I always watch the behavior. The behavior of your family is important because you pick that up, right? So my family was big on projecting the blame on everybody else. So it didn't matter what happened. They're going to project the blame. So as a kid, as you're growing up, you say, oh, that's how it works. When something happens to me, I'm a victim, and I project the blame onto somebody else. And that's what we really learn to do. And you don't realize how deep that is in your consciousness, that that's automatic. Oh, wow, look what happened. It's not my fault. oh, look what happened. And the other thing is, we watch politicians and business people come on TV. Does anybody say, we really screwed up? Do you ever see a politician come on and say, you know what, we really effed up this time? Does anybody do that? No, right? The whole economy collapsed. Everybody was looking for, who do we blame? Right? Who do we blame for this? Nobody stepped up and said, you know what, we messed up. Aren't you dying to see somebody do that? But when I run for president, I'm going to do that. That's going to be my platform. I effed up. So anyway, so basically what's happening is, wouldn't that be a great bumper sticker? You'll be having it all over town. Nobody has a bumper sticker because they have new cars now. But remember the old days, right? Yeah, everybody had a bumper sticker. So basically what it comes down to for us, the way we go forward and the way we break the karmic wheel or cycle is we do what I call is bad recycling. So we have good recycling, bottles and cans. I put out my garbage last night. I was very happy about that. But bad recycling is we're recycling the same energy and creating the same outcomes. That's basically what everybody's doing. And on a regular basis, you go out on every single day, and you don't know that, but you're holding the same energy in the chakra system. So as you're holding that same energy and vibrating the same energy out into the universe, you keep recreating based on what you're holding internally. The problem for us as human beings is this. How many of you are very sensible? You got to knock that off right away. Because we want it, right? Don't you want the logical answer? This doesn't make sense. Right? I hear this every single day. But Joe, I did everything right. There's no such thing. No such thing as right. There's no such thing as wrong. That upsets people too. You're wrong. Thank you. I was doing an event recently, and a guy came up to me and he said, I want to explain to you, I've been wronged. This is how he started the sentence. After I do this whole presentation. So, not this one, but similar. And he said, someone did something to me that was wrong, and I need you to show me how to go forward. I said, first of all, did I not just say there's no such thing as right and wrong? But this was a clear case where in this case, this guy was wrong. No such thing. Your perception of wrong. 9/11, right or wrong? From our perspective, no, but think about it. From our perspective, 9/11 is wrong. If I go to the Taliban, what are they going to say? That was the greatest day of their lives. So, again, it's all perspective-based, right? There is no right and wrong. It's just how you choose to position it. There is no such thing. When you let go of that concept, it frees up your energy to move forward without obstacle. But you're so tied up in being right. Anybody here? Right? You got to be right. I'm right. Let me explain to you why I'm right. No, there's no such thing. When I tell my business clients there's no such thing as competition, they have nervous breakdowns. I'm like, competition, by its very term, implies that someone can take from you. It's impossible. No one can take from you except yourself. Competition is only there for one reason. It makes you better. You may see, wow, they're doing something really cool. I'd like to try that with my business. But they can't take from you. But you think they do. It takes away your power. So why would you do that? Why would you keep recycling bad energy over and over again? First of all, you don't know you're doing it. You're not aware enough. You're not in an awareness where you understand, yes, I'm doing this over and over again. There are some people who say, I know exactly what I'm doing. I can't stop. We see this with addiction. And I've worked with people who are addicted, who are addicts. And they will say to you, I know that this path is taking me down to ruination, and they can't stop. They're aware of it. They can't stop. Now, why does somebody take drugs? Not because they're addicted to the chemical, which they could be physically to a degree, but they really do it, why? To get a feeling. Why do you drink alcohol? To get a feeling. So if I can identify what that feeling is and we can get rid of it, you will no longer desire the drugs or the alcohol. That's the power of the work, right? So you're also trapped in the feelings and beliefs of your childhood. Now, everybody tells me they're not, but I went to Catholic school. The scars are still there. You don't understand that you're so formative in those early ages at home up until about 8 years old. That's when your chakra system develops. That's when your emotional map develops. That's when your brain is developing most at that time. So all this stuff is deeply absorbed into your belief system. So you're on autopilot. Automatically, you go right to a thought. How many of you, something happens, you go right to a thought? That's embedded into you. The guilt, the shame, all those things are deeply embedded into who you are. And finally, you're really recreating. So because you're holding those feelings of childhood, what ends up happening is you just keep recreating them. And the reason you recreate childhood incidents is it's very comfortable. So for me, just to give you an example that was really disturbing, I grew up in a house that was very shattered. So the energy was very, anybody grew up in a house like that you didn't feel relaxed and you felt very shattered and you didn't feel comfortable, right? We only have a couple of people. So when you grow up in that environment, you're used to being shattered. So what was I creating in my life? That feeling, because that's the feeling I know how to do. So as I'm doing this work, because the ultimate objective, people say, Joe, if I work with you, will I make more money? Maybe. That's not your goal. But you will. But that's not your goal. Your goal in the work is very simple, is to be more peaceful. So when I say to people every day, what do you want? Be more peaceful. Because if you're peaceful, that means you have no financial problems. Is that correct? Would you be peaceful if you had financial problems? No. So focus energy on that. We'll talk about that later. But also, this is important for you to understand, right? So what I'm doing is I'm recreating, in my case, a shattered feeling. See, it's the feeling, because that's what I know how to do. So as I'm doing this work, I'm getting more peaceful. And I remember I wake up in the morning, and I meditate every day, twice a day. So I get up, and I do my meditations, and as I'm doing the work, and I'm releasing all this energy, and I'm going through this process of cleansing myself, and I'm feeling very calm. And I have to tell you, I was very disturbed by that. Now doesn't that sound absurd? You say, well, Joe, isn't that what you were going for? I said, yes, but in the beginning, it was so foreign to me. I'm not used to getting up and feeling calm. I need to go upset myself. What can I do now to upset myself right now? I better get out of the house and do something. And, let me go get in a car accident. Because I can't deal with this peaceful feeling. It's not my normal. So it takes time. When I work with people, a big part of the work is transitioning from the feeling of energy in your household. And this is one of the exercises we do when we do the energy clearing work. The feeling of energy in your house is pervading your life today. And one of the meditations we do is we take people back to that feeling of their household. And you say, my God, I didn't realize that was the feeling I had. I didn't understand that feeling. So let's talk about, there are three big feelings that I really work with people all the time because it's common. By the way, we're all one energy. Everybody knows that. And because we're one energy, we all have the same problems. Everybody wants to think they have the biggest problem. Do you know that? It's like the biggest loser, the biggest problem. And people will come up to me and say, Joe, I know what you're doing, but let me explain to you. No one has problems like me. You know, this is not a game show. You're not winning anything. Lighten up. But they want to have the drama of, because people like to be dramatic. Anybody here? Right? Because we like to be dramatic, which is why we came to Third Dimension, by the way, was to be dramatic. All you have to do is, if you want to know if we want to be dramatic, turn your TV on. Every show is two women fighting, pulling each other's hair out. That's basically what it is, because that's what we like. We want to be dramatic. So the first feeling is fear. We're all fear-based. Everybody's fear-based. So just so you understand fear, in third-dimensional form, if I don't have any fear, I can't stay here. Because my vibration would be so high, I would leave. Because I have no fear. I can't stay in 3D. I can't stay in this physical form because I don't have that. The other one that's very big for us is shame. Now, shame is a very big issue for us growing up, how you were shamed. Now, there's healthy shaming and there's unhealthy shaming. Right? So healthy shaming is my son goes to the supermarket and steals 5 steaks. He didn't do that, but I'm just giving it. He's like, Dad, when did I do that? I'm like, it's like, when did I actually do that? No. And he comes home with the 5 steaks, and he says, Dad, I stole 5 steaks. And I say, way to go, let's grill them up. Right? That's a good, nice, way to be. Good Italian kid. Right? So healthy shaming for him would be saying, no, you can't, that's not something we want you to do. Right? That's healthy shaming. But we have the opposite, where we get shamed for doing nothing. See, so we grew up in an environment where you got in trouble for breathing. Anybody? What are you doing? Why are you doing that? Why are you doing that? What's going on? Why are you going over there? Did you do that? Did you do that? I said, it's like I've been up for 6 minutes. I got blamed 11 times already. What happened? So we're being blamed. So now I'm always feeling, this is, and I grew up, and my son will laugh now because he knows this is me. Every time something happens, I'm like, I didn't do it. Because that's all I heard my whole life. What'd you do? Why'd you do that? Why are you doing that? What are you doing that? Why are you doing it? Constant shaming demolishes your self-esteem. Demolishes your self-esteem. It moves you into the feeling of unworthiness, which we all have on some level. Everybody carries this. This is kind of a universal feeling. Every single person on earth has unworthiness on some level. And you could see the most successful person in the world, and they're carrying that feeling. Do you remember Peter Jennings, the news guy, who passed away a couple of years ago? And Peter Jennings actually didn't go to college. And he was on an interview. He was much older, very successful. And he said, you know, every day when I go to do the news, I'm waiting for somebody to say, what the hell is this guy doing on here? And he was off like 30 years already. So, again, that feeling stays with us. Even this guy who's unbelievable, he was like one of the most, he was like the guy. Peter Jennings, he was the guy we turned on to get our news. And he's getting up every day. So, you know, it's the same thing. Every time I go do a presentation, I always feel that feeling. Not like I did before, but it's always there on some level. So I had a woman send me an email, and she said, Joe, we're doing a $40 million deal. She said, I did your program with you. So I actually thought this was a typo, so I called her up. So I said, you mean a $4,000 deal? No, she said, I've been working on this deal for 10 years. And she said, it was really interesting because you told me as we worked together, don't think about the deal. And she never thought about it. And you know what happened? She said, the guy called me up. So where are you putting your focus? She was focused on fear. Didn't help her out. So let's talk about your desires, because your desires drive your life. Anybody have desires? Okay, your desires are tied to your karmic energy. When you understand your desires, you can really get your life in a good way. So there's two types of desires. There's two flavors. Understanding that will help you. I call them the yin-yang. The yin-yang is, the first part of it is the desires that are coded to your mission here on earth. So how many of you get up and you have a desire to do something like that? You want to write a book. You want to go teach people. You want to play music. Whatever it is you want to do. Those are your desires that are coded to your purpose. Now, here's the key thing. When you were a kid and you shared your desires, what happened? Right? A lot of moaning. A lot of moaning. Hey, Dad, I want to, you know, so now I had a guy I was working with. He was, his whole family were Ivy League attorneys. They all went to Princeton. So this guy comes along, the youngest son, like 4 sons, all the other 3, you know, Ivy League, the whole 9 yards. He goes, I want to become a veterinarian. What do you think his father said? Way to go. So he actually became an attorney, did it for a number of years, decided he wanted to leave. The father basically said, you're out of the family, you're out of the will, you're gone. He went out and became very successful as a vet. But that's critical for us, because if you come up and you are, especially if you have something that you want to do that's non-conventional, how does your family react? They're not going to be happy about it. I remember watching, you know, Frankie Valli in the Four Seasons. Great show, by the way, if you ever go to New York to see Jersey Boys. But he was on a show, and his father was an Italian guy. He was from Italy. Frankie Valli was born, I think, here. And the father was a construction guy, like a bricklayer. And he would go out at a very young age, and he was singing and had this amazing talent. And his father would say, when are you going to knock it off with the singing and learn a trade? Because that's the mentality, right? That's the mentality we grew up with. So that's critical. Now, the other side of it is the yang, what I call, that is tied to the unpleasant experiences you're here to have. Because you have to have both. Because here's the deal. If I don't have unpleasant, I don't know pleasant. If I don't have pain, I don't know joy and love. So you have to accept that you're here to have both. So the painful experiences are there to help you deal with these chakra issues that you have to clear. But again, we go back to the Zen proverb, I have pain, I want to avoid it. And the thing that was interesting about this work was, when you have pain, you dive into it. You don't run from it. You don't hide from it. You don't make believe it isn't there. You don't make an excuse. You don't blame somebody else. You go deeper. And that's what made this work challenging, because your instincts as a human being are to run from pain. It's kind of like saying, hey, that building's on fire. Everybody's running out. No, you run in. It's weird. But to do the work at a high level, I had to deal with those feelings and emotions that were buried deep down that I was trained to avoid. And also, as a human being, I'm conditioned to avoid them. I'm conditioned to avoid pain. Now I have to kind of spin myself around and say, okay, I'm going to go into those very deep feelings of pain that I never dealt with as a kid. It's very, very powerful. So my job is to help you build on yourself so you can make permanent changes, because here's the difference. When I went to therapy, what I found really interesting was, and I'm not going to ask anybody here if you've gone to therapy. This is not Dr. Phil. Don't worry about it. Does the therapist ever want you to stop? Never. They want you to come every week for the next 200 years. They don't want you to ever stop. Right? So in this work, when I met these spiritual teachers, they would say to me, we want you to be done, and we want you to leave us alone. So I said, well, that's kind of rude. But they said, no, we're here to empower you so you don't need us. And that was a very weird thing. Because I remember when I told the therapist, and I remember being all nervous, because I was young at the time. I was like in my 20s. And I went to the therapist, and I said, oh, I have to tell this guy I'm kind of done because I can't complain about my mother anymore. I need to do something else. So I remember going in there, because after a while, like every session was the same. All right, whatever. Okay, then I said, you start to realize I'm done. And he was very upset. So instead of him saying, you are a Jedi, go, which is what he should have done, which is what I say to my clients when they say, Joe, thank you, I'm good. I'm like, fantastic. Great, go help somebody else. Because your job, my job is to help you so you can help someone else. My job is not to say, you need me. So whenever you have teachers, whenever I go and see these events and those people give you that impression, you need them, run. Because that's what they want, to prey on your fear that you need someone else, because the idea that I need someone else takes the power from you. Who has the power? You. You always have the power. Now, you may need to learn things, but you always have the power. So how do we start to shift? We have to start shifting. So number one is I have to get more aware. I have to be more aware, but I have to be more aware of how I feel. Not just what's going on, how do you feel? So one of the things that I have people do is I have them carry around a little card or a tape recorder, and every time you have a feeling, write it down. Now, it could be something very simple, like in New York, for example, when I got a parking spot. That was a good feeling. I want to tell you, that was like, wow. It's not like out here you pull right in. Out there it's like, people are killing each other in the street. It's like, that was my spot. So what I wanted to do is I wanted to elevate my awareness. Not obviously a big event, you're aware of it, right? But a small thing. Like every day, I get hundreds of emails like that. I get emails from all over the world on a weekly basis. Wonderful, beautiful. I never met these people. They read my book, whatever it is. I stop. I absorb it. I move on. I never did that before. Because I'm busy, right? Click, click, delete, 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 delete. Stop. So be aware of how you feel all day long. Secondly, you want to identify your feelings and beliefs at a deeper level. The problem is you can't identify them because what's happening is you're not in feeling state. You're in I'm going crazy state. Anybody? How many of you wake up in the morning shot out of a cannon? Anybody wake up? I gotta go! Right? You get up and it's like, oh, I'm running, I'm going, I'm doing, I gotta do. How many of you sleep with your cell phone next to your bed? Ooh, we don't want to talk about that. Right? Why? Oh, it's my alarm clock. Get rid of it. It's good because it's bad for you to have that next to your head, right, when you're sleeping. It's not a good thing. So what you want to do is you have to get down deeper. I can't get down deeper if I'm never in my feelings. And I'm always in my head, and I'm always in a to-do. Anybody a to-do list person? You have to get rid of that too. The to-do list is a disaster. I'll tell you why it's really bad for you. Because on a daily basis, the problem with the to-do list I find with people is they never get all of them done, and then they feel bad about themselves. Oh, look, I had 41 things, I did 36. So instead of saying that's pretty good, you say, look, I didn't get to these. Right? So it's good to have, I'm not saying you can't have a plan, and I'm not saying you can't do that, but the to-do list is not good. It's unhealthy. It also takes you out of your feelings because it gets you tied up in, you have to accomplish something every minute. Anybody like that? See, that also goes back to your childhood, like when you, God forbid, sat down. Anybody at home sit down and get yelled at? Why are you sitting down? Why? Now imagine that question. Think about this question now as an adult. You're home, you come home from whatever, and you sit down and someone says to you, why are you sitting down? What kind of question is that? These are the kind of questions we got growing up. Anybody get that question growing up? Why are you why not? Why would I not be? What should I be doing? So understand that's what it is. Now, a very powerful principle I'm going to share with you, I tell you I'm going to give you actionable stuff, is what I call opposite action. Opposite action is I want to break the energy of my old self, which means I have to do opposite things that I did before. It breaks the energy and it makes me feel feelings. Now, one of the things that a lot of us share because we didn't get enough love growing up is we really want to get approval. Anybody here? So how many of you want to be liked? How many of you want to be hated? Okay, only me. Okay, so the reason is, and the reason I say that is, our desire to be liked comes from a feeling of weakness within ourselves. So now, because I didn't get enough love from my parents, I'm going to go out and help everybody in the world, and they're going to like me because I'm a wonderful person. And we got tied into this belief system that that's what it's all about. So now, when you're in a vibration of seeking approval, what you do is you attract people who want favors. Anybody do that? And if you're the extreme version, you're the one calling people looking to do favors. Anybody do that? Hey, I'm going to the supermarket. What can I get you? Hold on, I have a list. Then you say, do you believe he gave me a list? Well, you called him. Right? So now we're going to take opposite action. So now here's the opposite action, for example. Let's say somebody calls you up, your friend, and says, I need a favor. What would you do? You do it. Right? Most of the time, you're not going to do it because why? Because you're a good person. So now you have to be bad. Bad in your own head. You're not really being bad. So let's say, and it really is very effective. I started to do this with my family because my family belief system was, you're good when you do what we want. You're bad when you don't. So that's basically the way it works. And you have to do what we want or we're going to hate you. Did I not realize that was the key to my success? Not doing what you want so you leave me alone. I'm trying to do what you want so you're going to like me, but you're not going to like me anyway. Because you're going to find the one thing I didn't do. Right? You went out, you did the favor. See, my family, you did the favor and you got in trouble because you didn't do something within the favor. Anybody do that? Well, you know, I know you brought everything, but you forgot the ice. Okay. No, thank you. And by the way, we also need ice. Oh, thanks a lot, but you forgot the ice. So now, we had a family function next week, whatever it is, and it was never any notice, and you should be available, just so you know. So I said, okay, if I'm going to really do this, I had nothing to do. I'll never forget the first time it happened. There was some kind of family party going on, and I said, I can't go. I said, I'm not available. I didn't say I can't go because can't implies something else. I said, I'm sorry, but I'm not available that day. The minute I said it, my stomach went into a complete convulsion state. Because that was not my normal thing to do. It was opposite of what I did. So what do you think happens the minute I do that? What's the feeling I have? Guilt. I feel guilty because now I feel like I'm bad. So just so you know, when that feeling comes up for you, that's the key to your success. But in the beginning, you're going to feel guilty because what you're really doing is you're empowering yourself to say, this is what I'm choosing to do. This is what's best for me. Ooh. So you're going to take opposite action. So another woman sent me a great email. I told her, this is a woman who wanted to increase her business. She doubled her sales, and she said, Joe, one of the things we focused on was we want to work hard. Anybody want to work hard? I don't. So I said to her, focus on making everything really easy. And she said, you know, it's amazing. She said, all of a sudden these orders are coming in and people are calling me up because her meditation every morning is, I want it to come easily. Do you want it to come easily? Or what did you grow up with the mentality of struggle? It's hard. You have to work hard. You have to kill yourself. Right? Don't you love that one? How's work? I'm killing myself. How you doing? I'm killing myself. You ever hear those? It's amazing, right, when people do that. So let's talk about focus. So first of all, what do you want? Nobody knows. It's a great question. I ask it all the time. People don't know. So you have to focus on what, if you don't know what you want, how can you create it? You don't even know what it is. But like I said to you earlier, you want to be peaceful. That's really the key. Second, this is a big issue for us, and this is where you're going to uncover the blocks. What's going to happen when you get it? How will you feel when you get it? Now, I have a lot of people, especially dealing with money and success, they say, yeah, that's what I want, but there are unconscious feelings there that they haven't dealt with. Fears. I'm afraid I can't manage the money. People are going to want something from me. I have more responsibility. Those are all the fears that come up. So you have to understand what you want, and if you want to be peaceful, changes the whole thing, right? Now, what are you focusing on? See, this is critical because every day you have to say to yourself, here's how energy works. Energy works on the premise of focus and expansion. Okay, so whatever I'm focusing on is getting bigger, and whatever I'm not focusing on is getting smaller. So if you get up every morning and you focus on negativity, and you focus on drama, and you focus on difficulty, that's what's getting bigger. So now you've got to hold that focus every day on what it is that you want to create. That's going to be the thing, and that's going to be a shift. So your shift is going to be, now you're going to focus on what you want to feel. Don't focus on the stuff. Don't focus on a new car. Don't focus on money. Focus on what do you want to feel. Does that change your whole life? Because now, instead of me getting up and saying, oh, I want, because when I go into business school, well, we want to increase sales 26%. And I say to them, how will that feel? And they go, I don't know. I was told I have to increase sales 26%. They don't know. That's why they can't get there. I go into organizations with people. I said, your sales are slumping because your chakras are blocked. What do you mean your chakras? No, this guy's, Bart's not making enough phone calls. No, no, no. The energy is blocked. That's what we want to do. So what happens when you shift? You start to create better stuff. You'll notice when you shift your energy, better opportunities, better people, better things will start coming into your life. Invite that in. A lot of us repel it out. So a couple of great things happened to us. My book was at the Academy Awards in 2012 as a gift, and we just got invited to an Emmy Awards event in September, so we're going to be there in a couple of weeks in Hollywood for a 3-day Emmy event. We're going to meet with all the celebs, and we'll post the pictures up on Facebook. That came to us through a contact that we had. We did not pursue it, right, but these things came to us. So this is what starts happening. Things start coming to you because your energy is shifted. I had a woman here also, Stacey Francis, a good friend of mine now, worked with me. When we first met, she was afraid to speak in public. Now she's a regular on CNBC. Great stuff. Amazing stuff. Amazing things that are happening. So I'll tell you about one last quick story. You all know Sylvester Stallone. Forget about it. But anyway. What happens is we hit something that I call a crossroads. And we all hit a crossroads in life many times, and you have to make a decision. I don't mean like, what should I have for lunch decision. I mean big. People say I had to make a decision, tuna or chicken. I don't know. So, no, we're not talking about that. So 1975, Sylvester Stallone is in California, comes from the East Coast, Philadelphia area. Comes here, writes a script for Rocky. He's broke. He's got $106 in the bank, goes to the studio, says, I got this script. They say, we'd love the script. We want to buy it. We want to give you, I think at the time it was like $100,000 in the beginning. They said, but we don't want you. Now think about Sylvester Stallone walks in 1975. I want to star in a movie. What are they going to say? Get the hell out of here. But they wanted the script. Anyway, they keep coming back to him. His wife is pregnant. Now think about yourself. Talk about a crossroads. You have $104 in the bank. Your wife is pregnant. It's 1975. They ended up offering him $250,000 for the script. Are you taking it? Are you taking it? Think about that. That is a big crossroads. And he was in an interview recently, which I saw him, which really was why I want to tell the story. And he said, it was so interesting. He said, I knew in my heart that that script was my life. And that was my shot to make it big. And he said, I knew deep down I couldn't give it up. And then he said, finally they said, okay, we're going to give you $1 million, go make the movie. And he said, I went home and I almost had a heart attack. Because now I have to do it. So this guy's he's like, so that's what's going to happen to you. You say, wow, I've been wanting this my whole life. Right? I've been saying I've been wanting to do this my whole life. I want to get out to more people. I want to heal more people. All of a sudden we get this thing for the Emmy Awards and we got to go to this event. I'm saying now I have to be ready to do it and be in the energy to do it. So you have to look at your life, and we've all had those moments, right? Sometimes we maybe took the path and said, well, I would have rather go this way. We've all done it. We've all been down that road. Well, I went left. I should have gone right. I would have felt better about it. But it helped you with your karmic journey, so there's no real mistake. But this is going to happen to you now. And at a higher level of awareness, you're going to have to make these decisions and say, what's the best decision for my higher self? What's the best decision for my highest good? Not the money, not the situation, your highest good. That is the key to the whole thing. So a couple of things we have in the back, just so you know, I do one-on-one coaching. I also do group training sessions and corporate training like this. And I have books and stuff in the back if you want to get Karma Buster. We do have that. And we have a new program which I just started, which is online. A lot of you are online, right? You're all on the internet. I started a membership program for people. It's called Spiritual Selling Elite. This is based on my book. And what I wanted to do was bring people training on a virtual level who didn't want to get involved with coaches and all that kind of stuff because it could get really expensive. So what we do is we go through the process of really integrating these principles into your business and into your life, because what I've seen in my own life is it's not the harder you work, the better you do. It's the clearer my energy, the better I do. And it comes to me that way. So we're going to go through the whole thing of increasing your sales and your energy. You have 24/7 access. And what I do is this. You get a monthly live webinar. That's actually live. We do interactive Q&A. I post a video and an audio session. Okay, I do a weekly email. You're also going to get, I have my Spiritual Selling Home Study course out there, which we sell for $250, but you're going to get that as a download for free. Okay, and I'm also doing a Create Your Breakthrough teleseminar series, which is starting in September, which you're going to get that for free also. And everything is recorded, so if you miss something, we post it all on the site. You just log in and you can listen to it. So this program, and we're also going to give you a Karma Buster book if you want to do it. So this is usually $77 a month. If you want to do it today, you can get it for $37 on a credit card, and we'll be happy to do that, get you set up. You could try it for a month. It's month to month. If you don't like it, you could just cancel it, so it's not a big deal. So I just want to leave you with one thing. I'll take a few questions, which is this. The big issue for me doing this work is this. I have to stop thinking. Anybody thinking a lot? Okay. This is where we get blocked. And you have to, it is, because you think about yourself. Do you ever project positive outcomes? I know Italians never do. You're 10 minutes late, I think you died already. He's 10 minutes late, I hope he didn't get in an accident. I'm like, he's 10 minutes late, let's relax. But we know our thinking takes us down a bad road. And if you look at your life, I'll give you one more exercise to do. I do something called the serendipity list. And I tell people, write down all the good things that happened in your life. And I guarantee you, they just happened. And I guarantee you, you were not thinking, it just flowed. So you block your flow when you think. Your brain is a tool like a computer. Use it when you need it. Be in your flow. Be in your feelings. And then you're going to see changes take place. So does anybody have any questions? Now that everybody's there. Now that I scared everybody?
No, it takes time to settle in.
Thank you. That was wonderful.
Thank you.
I'm interested in how karma, if you want to talk a bit about karma, like, for example, our nation.
Right.
How do we create a mass karma that affects us and the world?
Well, okay, let's take it from, that's a great question. So what it really comes down to is your first job is heal yourself. And if you heal yourself, I actually did a call last week, which is in our membership site now. It was called Heal Yourself, Heal the World, because we have to focus on our own healing. When I heal myself, my energy lifts, and I'm actually affecting other people in a positive way. Think about what would happen if everybody did that. Does that affect the whole country? Does that affect the whole world? So instead of going into this gigantic global idea of what I have to do and save the world and feed everybody, heal yourself, because you don't understand. My vibration, just being around people, is healing them. Even if I don't talk to them, even if they don't know who I am, even if they never saw me before, I know that. We could all do that for each other, but we're too busy in our own little craziness. So that's the way I would do that. Oh, yeah, one over here.
Hi,
Hi.
I'm Joan.
Hi, Joan. Thank you.
So do you have a process that you use for unblocking your chakras? Do you actually pull
Yes.
energy through those?
Yeah, so what we do, the way I learned it with my teacher was through meditation. So what we actually do is we meditate, through our meditation process, we actually go into the feeling that it's blocked, and I show people how to do it. Now, it does take a little time depending on how blocked you are. I was super blocked because I didn't know a feeling from a hubcap. So I'm telling you right now. So for me, when she said to me, you have to feel your feelings, I said, what the hell does that mean? Does that mean I'm not feeling what does that mean? So it was kind of like we go through the process, and I actually do live sessions. I'll be doing one in October in Irvine as well. We do live 3-4 hour sessions where we do it live. And I have a CD set out there that goes through the process, and I do it virtually. But what it comes down to is we go through the meditation of you actually learn to trigger the feeling that is blocked, and then how to flush it out emotionally. It's through an emotional process. You're going to cry. You're going to feel it. So what happens is, like, you have an experience that happened with one of your parents usually, or something when you were young that's unresolved, and then we go back and target that feeling. We hit that anchored feeling. We go through the feeling. We feel it. We let it go. It dissolves the energy from the chakra system. Your cells are always recoding. You recode without that energy, and that vibration has shifted. So that's the process that I learned, and that's the way I've been doing. I know we have one over here. Yeah.
I think I have been working on myself for years and years, and the political system isn't getting better.
Right, okay.
I just have to let go.
What's that?
Would I just have to let go?
Yeah, because, see, the bottom line is this. The political system is a reflection of our inner selves. So we're in a process right now, as we approach the end of this 2012 situation, of cleansing. And what's going to happen is we're already seeing it. There's a shift of energy of the people like us who are kind of, there's basically, I look at people. There are people who are on the path and people who aren't. We don't judge them, good or bad. But the people on the path are ready for change. The other people are not. So we know the old regime wants to keep things the way they are. When I walk into a corporation, I know right away, are they open to change or not? And what it comes down to for us is, those of us open to change, we have to have the faith that we will be guided to the best place. I can't change everybody else, but I can deal with myself. So a lot of people place so much energy onto these things, and the bottom line is, who cares? Because I know no matter what everybody does, no matter who wins the election, no matter what goes on, no matter who told everybody who did what wrong, I'm going to be the one in control of my life.
Okay. And then just quickly, that serendipity list, you just write down the things that come to you?
Whatever comes. See, all my exercises revolve around no thinking. Okay. So people say, Joe, should I date it? Should I number it? No, just write. Just start writing.
Great.
That's the way you want to go.
Thank you for the morning.
Anybody else?
To what degree
Yes.
do you tell people to be wary of the company they keep? Because we
Huge.
know we all overlap.
Well, I'll answer that question with my own experience. Why do you think I moved to California? Now, I say that in a joke, but I will tell you that we knew, the three of us in our family, we have a little dog, but our energy was saying, you need to get away from these people. Not that they're bad, but they were affecting our energy in a way that was not good. And we said, this is our family. How do we do this in the physical world without, and we knew that coming out here energetically was going to be good for us. So yes, because it's critically important, because you have to also understand, you're attracting people based on vibration. So if I keep attracting a lot of people who are negative and problems, then I'm still in that drama energy. So as I start letting go, now the scary part of it for people is when you go through transition, it's lonely. Because you're kind of going from identity A, drama, stress, hating myself, to identity B, I'm the greatest person in the world. Think about that. That's a big difference. So as I'm transitioning from here to here, I'm going to drop a lot of people, I'm going to have this gap, and then I will rebuild over here.
Yes, it's really though important, isn't it?
Critically important.
Critically.
Critically, because you have to understand, your energy is being affected by everything that comes in. TV shows, what you read, who you hang around with, who you talk to, every word you use has vibration. So when people say to me, I'm killing myself at work, what are you saying?
Yes.
What do you think you're doing to yourself? Yes, sir.
Joe, my name is Kevin. I agree with the statement you made that long-term psychotherapy may not be the best use of your time.
Right.
But what Adrian didn't tell you is that 82% of our guests are psychotherapists.
Yeah.
And you've really alienated just
No,
about
I
everything.
love psychotherapists. No, and I will say this to you. That experience was the springboard for me. What I'm saying, I think therapy is fantastic, and people ask me that all the time, and they say, should I go to therapy? And I'm like, yes, that is a great place, but understand, I don't like when the therapists, and a lot of them unfortunately do that, they don't want to empower you to move on. They don't take it to the next place. That's my concern. I'm not saying all therapists, but you know what I mean.
In general, where do you get the most bang for the buck? How long should you stay? Should the average person stay with a psychotherapist? I'm thinking 6 months max, but
You know, I think it depends on the person. Here's my rule for all this work. When it starts sounding the same, you're done. when you see yourself saying the same story over and over again, I'm done now. And the same thing happened to me when I was reading all these books. And my teacher said to me at one point, I want you to never read another spiritual book the rest of your life. And I said, why? She said, because it's only going to distract you from, you're getting your downloads from a higher place now. You've done your work here. So she said, get your downloads in your meditation. Ask for whatever you need. It will come to you. You don't need to read any more books. You've done a great foundational work. It's important for us to do that part. But there comes a point where we have to have the power within us. And I'll tell you one quick story. Does anybody see The Passion of the Christ? Okay. There's a scene that I always use when I do visuals. There's a scene where Jesus has already been captured, and he's talking to Pontius Pilate, and he's been already whipped and everything else, and he's all bloody. And Pontius Pilate says to him, I have the power to set you free. And Jesus turns to him in this condition and says, you have no power over me. Very powerful. He's saying even in any condition, which is why one of my favorite books is Viktor Frankl's Man's Search for Meaning. Same idea. No one has power over you. You have to own that, and then you can do whatever you like. So just thank you so much. I appreciate your time. Thank you.